Good morning, welcome to another beautiful day here in Girona. I have the pleasure of introducing our latest factor build for our good friend and pro triathlete Laura Siddall. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. It's good to be back in Girona, and yeah, nice weather with it.
Isn't it just? So Laura, thank you for being here with us today. Self-proclaimed nomad, global traveller, 4 times world champion, 5th fastest British woman of all time, best aunt, youngest daughter, sun chaser. So you spend your time between the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. Have you actually seen a winter?
Yeah, not seen winter for a long time, for a good few years. I normally spend 6 months in Christchurch, New Zealand for the southern hemisphere summer, and then head up to Girona here and for the northern hemisphere summer. This year it looks like I'm going to be in the northern hemisphere for winter, which will be the first time in a long time, yeah.
And you spent a bit of time in the UK over summer?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so maybe that was my first winter experience. I was in the UK from March through to a couple of days ago. Surprisingly decent weather for the summer in the UK. So a little bit surprised. I haven't lived in the UK since 2007. So yeah, it was a little bit of a shock being back there, but it was still okay.
Well, I mean, it's been beautiful here over the past couple of weeks. Hopefully you're going to get at least a few more weeks, even months here in Girona of good weather. Now, Laura, you've inspired me to get fit again. I mean, I've been talking about it, living in this beautiful place. I am now getting fit thanks to you. Tell me how you got into Ironmans and triathlons.
Yeah, so I grew up doing all kinds of sport. I did a lot of athletics or track running as a kid, and a lot of netball and hockey, basically going through school. But it was when I moved to Australia with my corporate job at the time, and I was kind of looking for some sport to do. I wanted to keep fit, and that's the thing. And friends from work were doing a charity bike ride, so down the coast from Sydney to Wollongong, 90 kilometres. And so, they said, do you want to come along? And I didn't have a bike at that point, so bought a bike about a week before, and it was a hybrid mountain road bike, flat bar, just no clip-in pedals, just flat pedals.
First charity ride, 90k.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue. I had no clue at all. I think I'm not even sure I was in cycling kit. It was probably just like shorts and t-shirt. But just really enjoyed it. It was just really great fun. We rode down the coast, got the train back. And so almost as a result of that, the friends just said, oh, you should have a think about triathlon. And I'd never really heard of it, hadn't sort of got that experience of it. So went on good old Google, the internet, and found a local group in Sydney. I was where I was living, a group called Bondi Fit, and they were running a beginner's course, which was, I think it was a 6 to 8 week course, and at the end of it there was a local sprint triathlon. So yeah, just signed up, and rest is history, so to speak.
So before you became a pro triathlete, I mean, I did do some digging, and I do know you already. At school you were doing hockey, like you said, netball, you worked in corporate. So what did you do before you became a pro triathlete? Yeah,
so I very much growing up, sport was kind of the hobby.
Yeah.
You went to school, got GCSEs, A levels, and went on to the degree.
Yeah.
And sport was nice. It was seen as that you put it on your CV, and it made you look like a rounded individual with other skills. So I guess I just followed the corporate path. I actually spent a gap year in the British Army. And then went
gap year in the army.
Yeah, just a year, an amazing year between school and university.
Yeah.
So we had sort of 4 weeks intensive training, and then 9-10 months out in, I'd say, the real world of army, but obviously a little bit different with just being in for a year. And then went on to university and studied engineering, mechanical engineering. Don't ask me anything about bike mechanics. I'm still hopeless at that. But I started working for Shell, the oil company, and through Shell got an opportunity to go to Australia, and so moved out there. So I was working engineering on an oil refinery, and sort of spent 2 years out there with Shell, then moved on to doing some management consultancy and some project management and business process improvement, and that sort of, staying in the corporate world for about 6 or 7 years.
So Laura, obviously lockdown was challenging for pro athletes, but one of the things I noticed with yourself is you're quite prominent in the charity world, and I saw a lot of things that you were doing. Can you tell me about the charities that you work with and what you've done recently?
Yeah, it's always been something I'm pretty passionate about. I think I've had a lot of opportunities through sport, and I see the power of sport in so many different areas, and one of the areas is with the organisations and the charities I work with. And I guess during lockdown, it gave us a bit more time to think about values and reasons why we do the sport, and that opportunity to just, everyone's struggling at the moment for fundraising and for getting those incomes. So there's been lots of events going on that I was able to get involved in and support. So I did a couple of 12-hour rides for a friend's charity, and
was that on Zwift?
That was on Zwift, yeah. And then another 100-miler on Zwift again, sort of a big charity event. And then one of the main charities I work with is the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and so that's giving physically disabled or people the opportunity to participate and be athletes through sport. And so they have a big fundraiser normally in October every year in San Diego. It's called the Best Day in Triathlon, and it is an amazing day. Unfortunately, it's not going ahead this year, but they've just launched a couple of weeks ago a 1,000,000 miles challenge. So they're hoping to get people through their training, logging the miles, raising money, and get to like $1 million over the next few months. And there's sort of lots of things along the way. So yeah, deeply connected with that charity. So good to support that. And it's just good to do something different and give back. Yeah, because triathlon can be, and sport can be, so selfish to some extent that it's kind of, I get that value from being able to help others or feel like I'm doing something good from that perspective.
And is there anywhere that people can go if they'd like to donate to any of these charities, or what's the best way to help out?
Yeah, so there's normally lots of posts on my Instagram, which is just at LMSid, or through my website. I'm selling, I design a t-shirt, so I've got a special Challenged Athletes Foundation t-shirt that I'm selling at the moment through my website, which is just laurasiddall.com. And all the money from that is going to go towards CAF.
Perfect.
So yeah, but just get in touch, drop me an email or message.
Okay, so I'm really interested to talk more about your racing. What's race day like for you? Is it more nerves, endorphins?
Race day starts about a week before the event.
Okay.
And through that week, it's kind of a roller coaster of one day I'll be super excited and just can't wait to get going, and the next day I'm absolutely just a bag of nerves. So you kind of go through this roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then waking up on race morning, it's kind of a mix. You're super nervous, but you're also for me, I'm quite process orientated. So I have a list of like all the timings of the morning leading up to the race and the gun firing. I know what I need to do, and that helps me manage those nerves.
Sounds like a sleepless night.
So that's the other thing. You don't sleep the night before the race, but there's nothing you can do about that. So you just have to be super relaxed, and you find you're waking up every hour and checking the clock, and it's like, oh yeah, another hour. But the list helps me on race morning just kind of keep those nerves in control. I mean, ultimately, you just want the gun to go. You just want to get going, because once you're swimming, you're in the water and you just go into process mode, and it's just, you can kind of get on with it. It's that waiting and anticipation before the gun goes, which is the worst thing. So yeah, it's a huge mix of nerves, adrenaline, buzz, and it's just how you manage and control those the best. And I've had days where I've been hopeless at managing them, and then days where it's been a lot more calmer, and you find you have sort of all that time before the race.
So what I'm really keen to understand, considering I work in the cycle industry, how is your training split between the swimming, running and cycling?
Yeah, so I work with a coach, Julie Dibbons, who's she's British, but she's based over in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Which has been fantastic. We started working together in December. And the training, obviously we're covering 3 sports. I'd add in strength and conditioning as well in there, as well as a fourth element.
Gym work,
Yeah, and it's not, most of the training is on the bike, because in a race that's the biggest percentage of time we have in the race. But it is try and balance it out. It kind of depends as well what your strengths and weaknesses are. I'm a weaker swimmer, so I might have more swimming sessions in a week than maybe one of the top swimmers. But it is still a smaller proportion, with the biggest amount being spent on the bike, and then the run's probably second behind the bike.
And which element of your road cycle training is most transferable to, race conditions? You're on a road bike here, and you're going to be on a TT bike in the race.
Yeah, I mean, my coach is really excited for me to get on the road bike, because I've been doing all my training on the TT, which is great. But when you're on the TT bike, you really want to be practicing being in the aero bars, because that's the position you want to be getting used to in the race. But you can't always do that on all the terrain. So I think for a road bike, it's good. It's different. It teaches you bike skills. It's different pedaling dynamics. You still can get the strength and conditioning training from doing hill works and that descending. And there's a lot of work you can still do on a road bike that does transfer into a race. So
3 years running, Australia Ironman champion. What have you set your sights on next? Is it another Oz championship or something else?
I mean, that would be amazing. You definitely don't take for granted the chances where you have to win a race. And the last 3 years in Port Macquarie, Ironman Australia have been amazing. Particularly 2019, I had a pretty rough run up into that race. So to come away with the win there and get the three-peat was, I don't think there'll be a feeling for me that beats that. So it's kind of like, do I go out on a high? Or, but, you know, 2020 has been put on hold a little bit. So, and the next, it's a big anniversary for Ironman Australia. It'll be now, obviously, in 2021. It's such a great community. It would be great to go back there and race again. I think everyone's just going to want to get back into racing. So yeah, that's probably going to be on the cards for 2021. I think also it's just a case of, I've been managing a collarbone injury. So for me at the moment, the first priority is to get back to fitness and then get back to, when we can race again, be making sure that I'm at the best place I can be and ready to compete. I think the thing about triathlon is that there are so many great races around the world, and not being able to race this year, it kind of, you just want to go back and do all the favourite races as well as explore some new ones. So yeah, lots of goals coming up for 2021.
So obviously here, Teat Sleep Cycle, bikes is our thing. You've opted for the Factor 02 VAM. Why have you gone for this bike?
Because it's stunning. Yeah, so obviously I race on this. I race on the Factor Slick on the TT bike, but it's really good to have a road bike. So this frame is the 02 VAM. It's less than 700 grams in weight, which is pretty impressive. And I just love the exposed carbon and the paintwork on it. I think they do a really good job on that element with their bikes as well. So yeah, the bike's got Shimano Ultegra Di2, so really excited to have the Di2 on my road bike. I'm really keen. It's the cool little junction box here for charging is really neat out the way. So I've got a Quark power meter on here, which is what I have on my TT bike. So my coach probably gets too annoyed with me for how much I focus on the power and the numbers. She'd prefer me to just go and ride. So she might be a little bit wrong having it on the road bike, but it's using power and heart rate as well as this, but the power meter on the bike is really good for training, not only to achieve targets in training sessions, but also on that recovery ride to keep your power in check and to actually like keep you below a certain output. So yeah, that's why it's always going to be handy to have it on my bike. So the bike's also got disc brakes, which I'm really excited about. They're bringing disc brakes more into triathlon now on the TT bikes as well, but obviously on the road bikes, you know, this bike's a climbing bike as well, so I can't wait to get out into the hills, and just having the disc brakes gives you, I think, that little bit more confidence on the descents and things to really help practice those skills that you're going to need in a race. So on the bike as well, I've got Parkour Strada wheels. These are slightly wider, so we're seeing that movement to slightly broader rims. So these are fitted with 28 tyres as well. Super excited to ride these types of wheels. I haven't ridden them yet, so yeah, I think it's going to be a good addition to the bike.
And you've gone tubeless, I see.
Tubeless as well, yeah. So tubeless, I've got those on my TT bike, and I've got my tubeless now on the bike for training and for racing.
So I see, Laura, you've got this incredible custom 3D printed saddle, which I noticed is really, really comfy. The rest of the bike, we've also got the black ink cockpit with integrated bar and stem. For me, it's obvious, having worked with Factor for such a long time, but why did you choose Factor bikes?
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with Factor when I walked into a bike shop in New Zealand, and there was this amazing, beautiful road bike on the counter, and just wanted to know more about it. And then I think the fact that it's got British origins appealed to me, being British. But Since getting to know them and working with them, I've just been super impressed. One, the bikes are just amazing to ride. I love getting onto my bike and riding it. I think that's a big thing when you're going out exploring. The bikes are fantastic. I love they put so much research and design into it. They're constantly innovating. They're constantly looking at new ways to be better, to improve the bikes, and bringing the next model out, or thinking how they can improve the riding experience. The customer experience, I think you get with a Factor as well when it gets delivered, the box it's presented with, it's just,
it's incredible.
It's an incredible experience, and I think that all makes it a fantastic company to work for, and that's one of the reasons, I choose to ride the Factor.
Just wanted to wrap up with a couple of questions about Girona and about triathlons in general. So, what is it that Girona has to offer to up-and-coming triathletes?
Nothing. Don't come here. It's rubbish. I want to keep it secret. No, seriously. Look, it's just, I came here for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago, and again just fell in love with the place. I think the variety of terrain you have with the riding, also the run for triathletes. Obviously, the running around here is amazing. You can do the hills, you can get on the flats, the trails. There's athletics tracks. Swimming options as well. There's a fantastic 50-meter pool. You've got Lake Banyoles. You've got the ocean. You've got so much variety. I think the other thing for me though is just the community, the lifestyle, the culture that you get in Girona and in Spain.
Absolutely.
And of course, very good coffee.
Agreed. So Laura, once again, thank you for choosing Eat Sleep Cycle to custom build your Factor VAM. The Factor VAM is one of many bikes that we have at Eat Sleep Cycle. I really want you to enjoy this bike.
I can't wait. I want to go and ride today, I haven't got a ride on my programme, but there might be one slipped in.
I'm sure we could get one for you.